The first light of dawn spilled gently across the jungle canopy, spilling gold and green over every leaf, vine, and tree trunk. The river that cut through the heart of the jungle gleamed like liquid silver, reflecting the early morning sky. Mist hovered above the water, curling softly around the edges of the lily pads, and tiny droplets sparkled like diamonds on the leaves. The jungle was alive with a symphony of sounds, the chirping of birds, the distant chatter of monkeys swinging through the trees, the hum of insects, and the occasional splash of water as a fish leapt from the river. Near the riverbank, waddling carefully along the soft mud, was a tiny yellow duck. Her feathers glimmered softly in the morning light, and her bright eyes reflected both innocence and curiosity. She was Duckie, small, plump, and full of life, with a heart as gentle as the breeze. Her tiny webbed feet left delicate prints in the wet sand as she moved toward her nest, which she had built painstakingly over many days. The nest was nestled safely beneath the wide leaves of a mango tree, elevated just enough to be safe from the smallest predators. Inside it lay 3 perfect eggs, pearly white and smooth, glowing faintly under the morning sun. Duckie fluttered gently around them, adjusting the soft leaves and petals to keep them warm and secure. She hummed a soft melody, her tiny voice carrying through the quiet jungle like a lullaby. "My little ones," she whispered, nuzzling the eggs with her beak. "Soon you will see the world. Stay safe, stay strong." The jungle seemed to acknowledge her joy. Mithy, the vibrant green parrot, swooped down, squawking, "Good morning, Duckie. Your babies will be swimming soon." From a low branch, Chiri the nightingale sang a delicate tune, harmonizing with the soft rustle of the leaves. Even Bunda, the mischievous monkey, paused mid-leap, dangling from a vine to toss a shiny pebble toward the nest, a gift for the soon-to-hatch ducklings. Duckie's days settled into a quiet rhythm. She would spend the mornings foraging for small insects, berries, and water plants, returning to her nest carefully with her treasures. At noon, she swam along the river, the sunlight dancing on her feathers like tiny sparks. In the evenings, she would sit on the riverbank, humming lullabies to her eggs, feeling their tiny movements beneath her warmth. Among her visitors was Mowgli, the jungle boy. Barefoot, agile, and as familiar with the jungle as any animal, he approached Duckie quietly, often carrying wild berries or water from the river. "Eat something, Duckie," he said gently, holding a handful of berries. "Your babies need you strong." Duckie would smile, nibbling the berries. Mowgli had grown to be her protector and friend, a constant presence in the forest that made her feel safe. She trusted him deeply, even as the jungle around them held unknown dangers. For in the shadows of the dense jungle lurked Khal Nag, the ancient green serpent. His scales gleamed like polished emeralds, and his eyes shone a cold yellow. He had been watching Duckie for days, sensing the eggs she carefully guarded. Silent and patient, he slithered through the undergrowth, tasting the air with his flickering tongue. 3 perfect treasures, ripe for taking, he hissed to himself, coiling under the ferns. His tongue flicked in and out as he moved closer, his eyes locked on the nest. Days passed, and Duckie's routine continued, blissfully unaware of the danger stalking her. She cleaned the nest meticulously, added fresh leaves, and hummed softly to her eggs, imagining what her ducklings would look like. The jungle was alive with energy, monkeys chattered, birds sang, and the river flowed like a ribbon of silver light. But one night, as Duckie settled over her eggs under the moonlight, the forest fell unnaturally silent. The frogs stopped croaking, the crickets paused mid-song, and even the river seemed to hush its soft gurgle. A shadow moved across the nest. Duckie's feathers ruffled, and her tiny heart began to pound. 2 glowing yellow eyes emerged from the darkness. Khal Nag had arrived. Duckie tried to stand firm, flapping her wings and quacking loudly. "Stay away. These are my babies," she cried. The snake hissed, coiling his long, muscular body. "Weak, small, unworthy. Mine soon," he whispered, inching closer. Panic surged in Duckie, but she remained, her wings stretched protectively over her eggs. Then, from the trees above, a sharp whistle rang out. Mowgli leapt down from the branches, landing lightly on the forest floor. His spear was in hand, eyes blazing with determination. "Leave her alone, Khal," he shouted. The snake paused, its tongue flicking angrily. "You dare protect the weak, human? "You will regret this," it hissed. Mowgli's gaze was unwavering. "No creature shall harm the innocent in my jungle. Not while I stand." And with that, the battle began. Call lunged with terrifying speed. Mowgli rolled aside, his spear flashing as he struck near the serpent's head. Duckie flapped and pecked, desperate to protect her eggs, dodging the snake's strikes as best she could. Leaves flew, dust spiraled into the air, and the jungle seemed to erupt into chaos. Birds screeched overhead, monkeys chattered frantically, and even the water rippled in nervous waves. Mowgli grabbed a sturdy vine, looping it around the snake's thick body. The serpent thrashed violently, but the boy held firm, his muscles straining. Duckie continued to protect her nest, quacking in fear but refusing to leave her babies. Hours seemed to pass in the struggle. Corneg hissed, twisted, and lunged again and again. Mowgli dodged, rolled, and held onto the vine, all the while calling out encouragement to Duckie. He blocked, struck, and maneuvered, using every trick the jungle had taught him. Finally, after an exhausting, grueling battle, Corneg's strength waned. With one last hiss, he slithered into the shadows, defeated. The jungle fell silent again. Duckie rushed to her eggs, nuzzling each one carefully. All three were safe. Tears of relief glimmered in her eyes. "Thank you, Mowgli," she whispered. "No," he said softly. "You protected them too. Courage comes in all sizes." Days passed peacefully. Duckie tended her eggs lovingly, humming to them, ensuring they were warm, safe, and ready for the world. And then, one sparkling morning, a tiny crack sounded. The eggs trembled, and one by one, 3 little yellow heads poked out, blinking at the world. Duckie quacked with joy, nuzzling her babies as they chirped and explored their new surroundings. The jungle seemed to celebrate, parrots flew overhead, nightingales sang, monkeys clapped from the trees, and even the river sparkled in excitement. Mowgli knelt by the river bank, smiling warmly. "Welcome to the jungle, little ones. Even the smallest hearts can be the bravest." Duckie looked at him gratefully. "You are their hero, Mowgli," she said softly. "No," he replied. "You are." The sun set behind the trees, casting long golden beams across the lake. The jungle glowed brighter than ever, and every creature knew courage, love, and kindness would always protect the heart of the jungle.